Give me the thumbs up. All right, just lower the monitor a little bit in my headphones. Good evening, folks. Good evening. And if you're looking at the Donate Life sign in my tiger jacket, you know you are watching Uncle Charlie's Corner. That's right. The show where we are not only going to elevate you, we're going to educate you. Okay. I'm sorry, folks. I'm a little bit inspired because the fact is that I was reading some of the comments on our page here. All right. And most of them popular, but one of them said that basically they were too old to go to school. Well, I'm going to tell you something, darling. You're never too old to go to school. All right. This Monday, Uncle Charlie got his acceptance letter. Uncle Charlie's going back to college. That's right. I'm doing it the same time my daughter's doing it. And hopefully we'll graduate at the same time. Or maybe I might just graduate before her. Okay, so you're never too old. My mother was a teacher, an educator. Her sisters were teachers and educators. My sister was a three-time Teacher of the Year in the state of North Carolina. You are never too old to learn, folks. Don't let anybody discourage you. If you haven't gotten your high school diploma, go on back to school and get it. They got plenty of programs online, plenty of night schools. Now with the COVID, they're opening up things a little bit more. Restaurants tomorrow can have full capacity, 100%. I wouldn't know that if I didn't decide to educate myself, read the paper, watch the news on cable. Yeah, Uncle Charlie goes to school. That's right. I go to School of Life every day because 8 years ago, Donate Life, honoring organ, eye, tissue donors. My donor Heidi decided a long time ago that if she was taken from this earth and brought home to the Lord, that she was going to try to help somebody before her body was physically taken to. And she did help between 8 to 12 peoples with not only my heart that I have pumping in my body, lung transplant, liver, pancreas, skin, basically everything that could be used on a person's body except her eyes, because unfortunately she died of a massive stroke, an aneurysm. But folks, I'm glad. I'm fired up for tonight's topic, okay? And tonight's topic is called communication. Too much or not enough. And since I don't have that much space to put in there, I have to add this too, okay? We as Christians need to learn how to communicate because we are supposed to be the leaders walking this earth on communicating with our fellow brethren. And let me take it a step further. If you consider yourself a religious individual, you've gone to church, temple, wherever you worship your God, you learn how to communicate. And I'm going to go to the Bible on this one. And one of my favorite chapters in the Bible is Proverbs. And I'm going to start off with just a few verses from Proverbs. Proverbs, those of you who have your Bibles, you probably want to write these down with a pen. I'll try to repeat them at the end of the show. But Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. And in the same chapter 18, verse 13, if one gives an answer before he hears, is it his folly or is it his shame? On to Proverbs chapter 25, verse 11. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in the setting of silver. It's like when you make that presentation on Thanksgiving. Everybody who brought out the side dishes. They're waiting for the main dish that mama or auntie or grandma, that one that was responsible for the bird, and the bird comes out. You know how it is, dog. That bird comes out, everybody, oh yeah, you know. Even the little kids at the table stand up and clap. The babies even stand up, in their carriages and cribs, and they clap because they know the guest of honor is here. Proverbs 16, verse 23, the heart of the wise makes his speech judicious and adds persuasiveness to his lips. I'm going to say that again. The heart of the wise makes his speech judicious and adds persuasiveness to his lips. And I'm going to just end up here with Jeremiah. In Jeremiah chapter 1, those of you who know Jeremiah, the story of Jeremiah, Jeremiah was a boy that was touched by God. He did not know if he could speak God's words, but this young man was told by God that he will give him the words to speak. And I'm going to Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 9. He was touched as a child. The Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said to me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, communication. Is it too much today or is it not enough? We have to learn how to talk to each other, how to live with each other, how to just be cognizant of all that we have to deal with today. We have to learn how to talk to each other and respect each other. And I'm going to give you some examples of some current news. As we know, in the great city of Atlanta, the ATL, yesterday we all heard about the tragic events that happened to our brethren and sisters in the Asian community. 8 of them were brutally murdered by a man who had a sexual addiction. What do you say? As I was watching this with my fiance, and I looked up, as most of us do, and I said, God, please don't let it be a black man or a black woman. I'm not happy that these people were taken off God's earth at early ages of life. But I also have to question the police on how could they communicate with this man to get him in handcuffs without firing a shot, without roughing him up or threatening him, using vulgar language. And this man even had a bulletproof vest on when he took his, what they call his mugshot. But unfortunately, during this same week in Houston, we had an individual that had robbed somebody, stolen a car, got out of the car, went to a gas station where a young lady was finishing up pumping gas, and her little baby was laying in the back seat. The police, and I'm not bashing police, so let's get this straight. I'm just saying the lack of communication. The police, in their overzealousness to try to catch this criminal, fired into the car where the young lady was hostage. The gentleman who was stealing the car had got in and tried to kick her out and take the car. And you know, black women, you're not going to take nothing and take my child too. And she was like, no. She fought her last breath saying that. They killed the individual. They fired into the car. She's yelling that my baby's in this car. My baby's in this car. The child was nicked by a bullet. The child now is fighting for his life. And I believe, dog, the child's name is Legend.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking about, folks. Communication. Too little or not enough. We have to learn how to get along. We could send people to the moon and return them back to Earth. We could even send a rover to Mars. We can put satellites all over to circle Earth so that we could have better communications with our cell phones, with our security installations around the world, so that countries can feel safe, so that we can call across the world and it sounds like you're next door. We know how to communicate that way, but we don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to live amongst each other. It's a shame. It's tragic. It really is. I even look now at I said I wasn't going to watch it, but I said, you know something, I might as well just see what this girl and this privileged or overprivileged young man has to say. And I watched the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview that Oprah did. And I'm not going to go into what I feel were disagreements that I saw amongst the story when I first heard it. But what I took about the whole interview was that there was a lack of communication. It was a lack of communication on Meghan Markle's part because she was an individual of color. And those of you who are old school like me, she was a red bone. And she fell in love with a person that he was royalty. You didn't see anybody that looked like you if you looked at the family history and the family lineage. I don't believe that you did not know that you knew what you were getting into. You were not the first as in entering a college or a school or a some kind of job where to talk about the hidden figures, the ladies from Hampton, where they were brilliant math students, but they were the first. That's different. You were the first entering a family that basically nobody looked like you. So I don't believe that you did not know who this young man was. I'm sorry, I don't. But that was what you wanted. You both fell in love. You both married. You married very publicly. And even though you said you had a private ceremony 3 days before the actual public ceremony, but that's on you. But now all of a sudden, racism and what your child is going to look like when it's born, whether its skin is dark, because, you know, chromosomes and DNA is something else now. Hey, I come from a light-skinned father, still African-American. He was called colored then. And my mother had color like me. Her grandfather was white. If you look on my father's side, my grandmother and my great-grandmother, basically you say were white, but they were black. And if you look at my father's brothers, one was light like him, my Uncle Ray, love him to death. God rest their souls, and my Uncle Marty, who had color like me and blue eyes. You see, the DNA doesn't lie. And believe me, I believe that conversation came out. She wasn't in the room because she said Harry told her. But I believe that conversation did come out. And I believe it was people that were close to him that said it. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to cast aspersions on anyone's character. But I do believe that somebody close to him, and it had to be somebody very close to him, because you could look at the pain in his face you could sometimes, folks, yeah, we might think we're communicating, but are we communicating and thinking about somebody's feelings?
Sure.
I'm going to say that again. When we communicate, the thing that we want to get across, are we considering somebody's feelings?
Yep.
It's very, very. I can't think of the word right now. I'm just so emotional. I think of so many stories in my life where I was made the butt of some jokes. I was one of the first black young men in my community that lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. I'm not saying that the friends that I still have today, and we were all very close,
Mhm.
but some jokes were told that were kind of painful. I was happy that one time I heard about it, but my friend who happens to be Irish, and happy belated St. Patty's Day to our friends out there of Irish descent. Um, he heard a joke that he did not like, and I was basically the butt of the joke. And he said, "I bet you wouldn't say that if he was here." And he stuck up for me. He goes, "You know, Charlie's not that type of person." Those are the things that is effective communication, because you're letting the other party know that that kind of communication won't be tolerated. And if you continue to communicate in that fashion, you have the you could be ostracized by your own. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. I have to say, dog, it really, really warmed my heart. I work in retail, folks, and I'm the person that is going to greet you at the door and it's going to tell you how to get to certain departments, or if you're looking for something special, I'm either going to take you there to get it, but I'm front line. So if I'm not on point when you walk through that door, I'm not doing my job, and it's a reflection of the company that I work for. And a young lady had come in and she asked me what I would call the police. And I said, "Well, first, ma'am," I said, "what's going on?" And she said that there was an individual that was walking up to cars in the parking lot, knocking on the windows and going up to young ladies. And he came up to her too, but when she said that there was nothing she can do for him, he went to another young lady and was very, very confrontational, I guess is the word that you can say. And she had a point. I would love to think that if, God forbid, if my daughter was in a parking garage or something like that after school, or whether come home, that somebody would look out for her.
Yeah.
So as a father, I understand exactly what she said, and I got on my mic on my earpiece, and I called my manager because of what the lady communicated to me effectively. But this is where I also was communicated to effectively by my higher up. He said that we can't call the police because that individual has rights too. And if we call the police, we could be sued. We could be held liable. You see, sometimes how you doing, DJ? We have to look at the whole situation. And there was a young man that brought this man into the store. And I told the lady, I said, "Listen, he's coming into the store." I said, "If that makes you nervous, you're the one that's going to have to call the police." And as a black man, and this was a black individual, that's the last thing that we want to do is call the police, bring them into a situation.
He escalated.
Yes, we don't want the situation escalated because the fact is we don't know the mental stability of this person. We don't know what's going on. It was very brutally cold, and we're in the Northeast. It was brutally cold that day. And the day before, it was almost in the 60s. Okay. Now,
And last week.
this young man that brought this individual in the store said that he would be with him and that he is going to buy him some socks. Very nice. Very nice. Sometimes folks, you see a lot out there and you start to think negative about everything. And here was this man doing a Christian act of kindness. Unfortunately, the individual was asking people for money in line, but the officers had arrived. I had spoken with them. They asked me what was going on. I told them exactly what was going on and that um, I don't know what state of mind the gentleman is in, but he seemed all right. But I say we also can't have somebody going up to our customers, and not making them feel safe. Make a long story short, they said, "Well, we're not going to talk to him inside the store. We're going to take him outside the store." And I said, "Well, little alcove right there." I said, "It's cold out there." So they talked to the man, and they got a gist of this individual, and they talked with him. Another cop car arrives, and you start thinking, "Oh man," but no, they came there and they spoke with him. And like I said, dog, you don't know the background of this people. That man could have been a veteran of service of this country. Okay. And those individuals have seen a lot that normally you and I would not see unless we went to a shoot 'em up movie in the theater. They saw it live, not Memorex. They were there. And whatever he said to those officers, they understood and they let him go. I know that they probably added the fact, if you come back, we're going to have to arrest you. And I do have to say, I have to say kudos, really kudos to the police department of Orange. Those gentlemen and that lady officer were on point. They knew how to handle a situation. And God forbid, if anything ever happens again, I really have trust in that police department because, dog, they handled that situation. We've seen where other departments, might, like the one in Houston that shot into that car and that baby's fighting for its life. But when you have dedicated public servants, don't be so quick to judge. I have the same problem. I told you I'm still a work in progress. But as God is my witness, I work on it every day. This is what I'm talking about, folks. When I was thinking about the topic this evening, communication, too much or too little. Are we doing our job as Christians? I brought my fiance some dinner from a very, very great restaurant in our town.
Yeah.
And I spent a little money. I'm going to admit it. But the fact is, the part that I wanted to communicate to Darlene is that I appreciate what she does for me. I'm not an easy person to live with. I'll be the first to admit that. My sisters will probably tell you. But I try to do my best to let people know that they do mean the world to me. I try to communicate effectively. My nieces and nephews, and I have to say I could probably count on two fingers, the times I probably had to discipline them, because my sister Rachel's done an excellent job with her children. My sister Jackie has done an excellent job, and she's with her children, and she even takes care of of her grandchild, because the parents both are still active in their respective professions. And he's growing up to be a fine individual. So you see, school is never out of session, never out of session. And when I talk about effective communication, it's because I was taught effectively from my pastor, and I'm going to name them on down. Pastor Blake, Reverend Whitlock, Reverend E.J. Mayfield, Reverend Luster, Reverend Winton Hill, Reverend Robert W. Perry, all right, Pastor Pedro Vasquez, Pastor Joshua Miller. Now, what is that, 8? I'm not even talking about the ones that I met in Florida and Alabama, okay? So, and because I know Angela's working, my uncle, the late Reverend Andrew J. Taylor, I would talk to that man late at night, and I would say to him, Uncle Andy, God wants me to preach. He keeps coming to me, but I'm not ready. He goes, boy, it sounds like you're preaching now. He goes, eventually he's going to get you. He's going to get you. If it wasn't for Dog, if it wasn't for MVP, when I gave up the mic 2 years ago, and
Glad you're here.
well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be anywhere. It's something I've said it before in past shows. It's something that you can't keep inside. You have to go out and tell somebody, and they'll tell somebody, and they'll tell somebody, and so on and so on and so on. That's right. You can't run a You are right on the money. You cannot run or hide. And believe me, I tried to. But didn't God have the same thing with Saul, who eventually became Paul? He had the same issues. But what happened? God eventually got him. And if you are going through the same issues as I have gone through, that you don't know how to effectively communicate to yourself, okay? Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody, because they're not going to try to hurt you. Talk to your pastor, talk to your parents, talk to your aunt, your uncle, your grandpa, your grandma, your great-grandma, because there's still a lot of them that are around. Talk to your friends. If you ain't got no friends, call 211 or 411 in any community. They will put you in touch with who you need to talk to. Let me tell you something. The NAACP has a slogan that says, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Well, I'm going to tell you, a life is a terrible thing to waste if you have not given yourself a chance to live it. 3 times in my life, I had to go to funerals of friends of mine that had passed away. Tragically. Drugs, car accidents, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. One had a fight with his girlfriend, and unfortunately, she just got tired of it. And when she was about to go to trial, his mother said, don't do that to her, because she is the mother of my grandbaby. And believe me, my son was no angel. That's a mother. And they did not put her in any kind of solitary confinement or prison. We got to effectively communicate, people. We've got, as a black man, believe me, as Dog, as a black man, as MVP, as a Puerto Rican black man, we know what it's like when somebody looks at you differently or locks their car door if you walk by, all right, or clutches their purse or backs up a little bit in an elevator because they believe what they were told on TV or in the White House. And it's not just Republican, folks. Let's get that straight too. All right. Yes. Try to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. There was a movie called Watermelon Man by the late actor Godfrey Cambridge, and he directed this too. Godfrey Cambridge was a African American comedian back in the 50s and 60s, and I believe they have it on Amazon. Like I said again, it's called Watermelon Man, and Godfrey Cambridge, he before Eddie Murphy put on whiteface, you have to call it, he disguised himself as a white man in this movie. And he was an extremely prejudiced white man. He would rub black men on their heads and, like, boy, this, and, your people, He did everything to humiliate a person of color. But you know something, dog? This guy had a thing for sun, getting out there in the sun. That he had to have his body tanned, and he went and bought a tanning bed, and woke up one morning. He didn't have his complexion that he was used to looking in the mirror.
Wow.
It was a complexion of somebody else. So he had to go through. I don't want to tell you the rest of the movie, but the fact is, I think a lot of you know where I'm going with this. He went through the rest of his life as a black man. He lost the house in his neighborhood because they did not want him. He lost his wife and his children because she didn't want to be married to him, except for one night when he snuck in the house. She made love to him. that was a hilarious scene. But he understood what the person, see, I knew somebody understood, but he understood what it was like to go through life as a black person. And the thing about it, folks, he was an insurance agent. And you see, this is the goodness of God, too. He did not completely take away everything. Instead of selling insurance to his white counterparts, he sold insurance to the African American community, and he made a very good living. So there was I guess you could say, a silver lining at the end of the story. But you see, folks, that's what I'm talking about: effective communication. What did I say before from Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 9? He was touched as a child. The Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. Sometimes when our words escape us, if we give it a chance and not respect or respond right away, because sometimes when two people are arguing, if one of them steps away, it's not going to be an argument. There's still going to be somebody yelling probably, because the fact is they want to make sure that they got their point through. But the fact is the fight's over if somebody steps away. Now that is an effective way to communicate, because you don't want to deal with it. Maybe you're a person who has a bad temper. Maybe you're a person that your feelings got hurt. Or maybe you're just a person that said, I'll live to fight another day. And too many of us know in the streets of America, people want to prove their manhood more than prove that they are a responsible man. It's not about the size of what's in your pants or what you have shouldered in your back pocket. It's not the firearm that you carry. It's what you carry here. It's what you carry here. Too many of us folks are not thinking with this, but we're thinking with what's downstairs. And that has to stop. It really does. Because any fool can make a baby. But it takes a woman and a man to raise it right. Folks, this has been Uncle Charlie's Corner. And as you see, this topic really meant a lot to me. And we're going to revisit it sometime in the future. But I just want to let you know of some upcoming topics that we have that we're working on, Dog and myself and MVP, for this show. And I want to hear comments, and I do want to hear criticisms if you have it. And if we're doing the right thing and you love what you hear, please respond to that too. I'm a big boy. I could take it. I'll be 57 in November. yeah, I'm a big. I've heard everything. I have. Well, maybe not everything, but I've heard a lot. so I can take it. And I just want to tell you, coming up next month. Next month is what we call Blue Green Month or Donate Life Month. Okay, like I said, honoring organ, eye, and tissue donors. We are going to have individuals like myself or people who have honored their loved ones' wishes. Honored their loved ones' wishes by letting them become donors, or even if they weren't a donor, by donating their organs. It's very personal to me because I say it time and time again. If it wasn't for my donor Heidi out of a small town in New Hampshire becoming a donor, I would not be here today. I would not be here effectively, I'd like to say, communicating to you. So every Wednesday night, we're going to try to do it Wednesday. Maybe because of conflict, it might be a Thursday night, but I will let you know. Those of you who like what you're seeing, please hit the subscribe page. I think we're going to try to put up another one for all three of us. We all have Facebook pages, but some of those are just for private family and friends. But I think eventually we're going to have to put up Facebook pages dealing with our individual shows, and that's everybody on the network. I would encourage that, Dog. We love to hear from you. We really do. But to the one person, I'm sorry if I might have rattled your cage a little bit, but this is who I am. This is my DNA. This is my classroom, so to speak. Dog is the principal. MVP is the co-principal when he's not there. And sometimes I get called into the office. But that's effective communication, right? But I also have to say how much I love doing this again. We're going to try to take this on the road. As most of you know, the COVID restrictions are starting to open up. If you have not gotten your shot, those of you who are 55 plus, they're opening up 54 in Lower I know, which is the next thing, or next stage. I believe that starts tomorrow, and so on and so on. Hopefully, it all looks like Biden's thing is on track, and hopefully in a few weeks, everybody will be open. There are ways to get the shot, folks. If you call your who's ever distributing it, there are a certain amount of shots that they put out for the day. Sometimes people don't show up. Put yourself on one of those lists. You might get a phone call saying, well, listen, this person didn't show up. If you come within a half an hour, we have a shot for you. And that's a way to get it quicker. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about your zip code, okay? It's not about the complexion of your skin. This is a people way. This is a people thing, all right? It's about communicating effectively. And I think with this, and I'm going to also give thanks to the prior administration too. He got those companies to get this thing in less than a year. And I think they did it in a matter of months. That's basically unheard of, because those of you who are in that particular world, maybe you work in it, or maybe you market for it, this and that, you know, these things take years, trials that you have to go through. And they did it in months. So maybe that's also hope for cancer patients, for people that suffer from Lou Gehrig's disease and Parkinson's, other things that are out there that we are trying to eliminate from basically wipe it out from the face of the earth. I don't. It's a topic for another show. But why was it that we could wipe out stuff, you know, earlier in the 20th century, but now we can't? And I still start to believe that old adage that Richard Pryor said, the money is not in the cure. The money is in the medicine. I want to say to you good folks tonight, it's been a pleasure talking with you. If those of you expect me to speak longer, I would like to hope that I got everything that I needed to say in these times. Please go back and watch the shows on the UDR Go Love Team Network. A lot of good ones are out there. I watched the one on Tony Barr and that lady. Whoa, Akeisha. That was, Akeisha, that's her name. Akeisha. That one was deep.
That was Akeisha. Conversations with Akeisha.
Conversations with Akeisha. Okay, watch it. Oh my God! Woo! And see, you got to realize, folks, I was listening to it in the car. I was not watching it because I would have gotten an accident. But you know, I was like, oh yeah, no, we don't want that exact. Yes, I'm gonna tell the truth, honey. If I like something, I'm gonna watch your show. All right, hit that subscribe button. All right, tell that girl how much you like her. Keisha, you did a wonderful job. And Mr. Barr, I'd like to say you did a wonderful job too as her guest. You guys were that was pardon my friend, that was one hell of a story. I was man.
He's bringing Senator Bradley on the show.
Senator, I met Dennis. Yeah, I have a matter of fact, I have a poster when he first ran. Matter of fact, one of his first people, she's on the school board now, Jessica Munez Martinez. PLTI. Hopefully, maybe we can get Jessica on, or maybe you can bring it. But Keisha, yes, you did a wonderful job there. God bless you. God bless you. It's to be around positive people, folks. You can only be positive, all right, and want to do positive things in your life. But let me get out of here. I got to take my lovely fiance and go shopping now. So yeah, that's right. I got my stimulus check. I paid all my bills. They ain't gonna take the car. They ain't gonna cut off the cable.
Everybody was stimulated.
That's right. Everybody was stimulated. That's right. Yeah.
You got to look at Keisha. She just said so.
Yeah, I see that. She was a 2005 graduate. I see that. Well, you're talking to a 2016 graduate right here. It wasn't something. Oh, we got to go on the show together, because there's something about when you walk across that floor, all right, in Hartford, to get your diploma. The local one was something else. See, now you got me going off topic again. But I'll just say this. The local PIT graduation, which was sponsored by People's Bank, and I'm sorry to hear that they're going out of business. They've sold. They've sold off, and they're phasing it out. And my father was a longtime customer of People's Bank, and it
was black owned, wasn't it? People's Bank.
I'm not going to go that far, but it was owned by a lot of different minorities. I do know that they were very involved in the process. But it's we had our graduation there, the local graduation, and they kind of shocked me because my last name starting with T, Treadway. I was the last person to get my diploma, and I was also the oldest. Well, no, not the oldest, but I was the only one that had a heart transplant. And I guess they never dealt with that, and my fellow students asked me to speak. And it was very emotional. I put it that way. I still haven't seen the tape, but it's great, beautiful organization. And I don't want to mention a lot of names because I'll forget somebody, and I forgot one very important person during my speech. But thank God I was able to thank her because I had her on my show when I was doing my podcast at the time. But no, Keisha, we're going to talk about PLTI. There's a lot of movers and shakers that graduated from that program and that are doing big and wonderful things, not only in the state of Connecticut, not only in the city of Bridgeport, but around this country. And yeah, thank you, DJ. Yeah, it's something about hearing your name when you graduate. When I saw my daughter graduate high school, because remember, folks, I did not think I was going to live long enough to see her graduate high school. But when my daughter got that diploma and the principal read her name, I did something I know was unorthodox, but I ran up on stage and I hugged and kissed her because, But let's try to wrap this up. God bless you all. To my friend Mary that is out there, who's been very sick this past year. She's doing wonderful. God has truly blessed her life. I want to say hello to her. Mary Z. God bless you, honey. And God has wonderful things in store for you. And we will break bread over pizza in Stanford, or maybe we might go to New York and New Haven. Who knows? We're definitely going to raise a little. Pardon the word, Lord. We're going to raise a little hell. Too many people have been caught inside with this coronavirus for a year. I said I do want to mention this. I had said it yesterday on my Facebook page that March 17th, for those of you who know, is the day that St. Patty's Day is celebrated. But it was also the day last year that I officially lost my job with the theater in New Haven. And a lot of people that I'm still friends with today. Some of them were lucky enough to find other jobs. Some of them only worked there part-time. But to me, from my love of movies and my love of entertainment, it was a godsend because I never thought that I would do anything like that. And that was one of my first jobs, actually, when I came out of the hospital. The old Showtime Showcase Theater. Those of you from Bridgeport or Fairfield area will remember that. It was right around the corner from Fairfield Cinemas. And I worked there. And just amazing. There's something about theater people. We all have a love of movies. We all have a love of actors and actresses and themes, and we'll tell you what to watch. I am a big advocate of Amazon Prime. I was not at first, but I will tell you, I was watching an old episode of the Dick Cavett Show. And I know a lot of you have probably seen the show with Hendrix, but you just saw a clip of him talking. Jimi Hendrix had gotten to Woodstock at 8 p.m. that night, and he was billed. It was in his contract that he would be the last performer, but the show kept running late. So Jimmy and his band at the time, which was Billy Cox and a couple of other people that played congas and timbales, and Mitch Mitchell, his drummer, his original drummer. Billy Cox played bass, and he was in the 101 parachute. I want to say it correctly. The 101st Airborne. That's what they were in together. And he was talking about how they were kept up all night. So when Jimmy played the Star Spangled Banner, nobody knew he was going to do it. It was a complete surprise to everybody. when they heard you heard the first couple of notes and everything like that. But that was the artist. That was the artist in him. That's what God put in his heart. And to have Dick Cavett talk to him as a man, as a person, because he was supposed to be on there the night that all the other Woodstock performers were on there: Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Grace Slick, Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane. There was another one. She was a country singer. I forget her name. No, no, not Dolly. But the fact is, they said that he could not appear because he was just too tired. That basically, and it was talked about during that particular episode, that his managers and everything kept wanting more and more and more and more and more from him. Plus, he was trying to finance his studio, Electric Lady Studios. So it's a very touching episode of the Dick Cavett Show. It's on Amazon, and if you go on there, and you'll see a lot of this brother's performances.
That's my favorite artist, actually.
Jimmy, oh man, my cousin Pete, and if his kids are listening, my cousin Pete Fisher, man, turned me on to so much. Santana, all right, Allman Brothers Band, all right, Bloodstone, man, we could just, oh man, the topic for another show. I gotta say it, folks. There is so much music that is out there. Just don't confine yourselves to one era of music. Sly and the Family Stone was the first integrated band. All right. They played Woodstock, but they were so famous. Sly got married at Madison Square Garden. Brother had a gold suit on. Where have you heard that? I mean, where have you heard something like that? There is so much music out there. And that's it's one reason I have to respect you guys. Those of you who don't know, Dog is a DJ. And they listen to certain beats and everything like that. And when Run DMC came out with their stuff, all right, and what's Tone Loc? Tone Loc took the beat from a Van Halen song. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. But
he died?
Eddie Van Halen passed away last year, man, of cancer. Yes. Oh, wow. And oh man, this is definitely a topic for a different show, man. Wow. But oh man, the Grammys totally disrespected him. Oh, his son has a #1 hit right now. And it's oh man, this is see folks, that's how much fun we have here. We talk about everything, okay? And I do mean everything, okay? When you confine yourself to one aspect or one, they call it the tunnel vision, okay? You can never expand your mind, okay? And you don't need drugs to expand your mind.
You gotta think out the box.
Thank you. I'll tell you a quick story. I told this to my girlfriend last night. And I went to a private school in Stanford, and this is when South Africa, before Nelson Mandela obviously took over. He was still in jail. And this is like middle 70s, maybe late 70s. Mm-hmm. And these two kids had come from South Africa. Yeah. And I was one of 5 black young men that went to this school. And we were all tight. Mm-hmm. This kid called me a kefir.
The N-word?
The N-word in South Africa. But I did not know, and I will say it again, yes, this is a class word. I took myself to the library on the campus, and I read the booklet.
I know what you're going to say.
About South Africa. And I read how that there was different class systems. The white was the ruling class. Then underneath you had the Indian or colored, but at the bottom of the pile, you had the blacks or the kefirs. And the kefirs were the N-word. We're not going to use it here. We keep our,
It's supposed to be, that N-word is supposed to be sort of the meaning is supposed to be known as a strong person, but it's like Nigeria. It's not called Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Niger or something.
Yeah,
like that,
Niger.
Yep. Yeah,
guttural. They use it as the guttural part. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, brother. See, that's why we get along so well here, folks. Oh my God. Well, anyway, this was the old me growing up, and well, he never used that word again around me. Well, he couldn't. His lip was fat. Showed you how smart this. Then I did something else, but I can't talk about that topic. But folks, okay, we're at the 55-minute hour. But you see, that's effective communication. Yeah. Some might say it was a little negative, but I'm sorry, Lord. But hey, I found you, or I should say, you found me, and that's the way it ought to be.
Like Patricia said, some people stay in the box, which is true. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that they don't want to try to, like, for instance, they say a job is a stepping stone to getting your own. Mm-hmm. Some people, they don't want that. They just want to stay in the box.
That's right. Crazy. That's right. That's right. And if you don't think outside of the box, how are you going to improve yourself? Yeah. How are you going to get that next position on your job if you just stay? I understand, we got to make money. It's, but the economy is picking up. And I'll even say this: those of you who need work, there's a company called Ocean State. They're hiring. They are hiring. Okay, everything.
Ocean State job lot. Right?
Yep, Ocean State job lot. They are hiring every position: store manager, department heads. They're looking for totally retooling because they had to lay off a lot of their workforce. Restaurants are making a big comeback.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable, but the fact is too, folks. See, by Dog and I effectively communicating with each other, we're effectively communicating with you guys, because if we don't let you guys know what's happening, we don't want you just to stay in that box. We want you to think outside that box. Yes.
That term comes from a NASA engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Think out the box.
Yep.
So that's when they say, "Oh, we don't just want to go to the moon. We're gonna go somewhere else. We gotta think out the box."
That's right.
If I'm correct, it comes from a NASA engineer. If I'm correct.
But think of this though. During his inaugural address, President John F. Kennedy said, "We will be on the moon."
Yes.
By the end of the decade. And it happened in 1969. So technically, that was John F. Kennedy's mountaintop speech, which Martin Luther King said, "I may not get there with you, but we as a people will reach the promised land." Folks, God bless you. Yes. We love you here on UDR Productions. Go Love Team. My man Dog behind the bar. Behind the board. Well, that is kind of a bar back there. You got everything set. Whoa, but the bar that is serving knowledge, okay? Not those other things. But I'm gonna drag him out. I'm gonna drag him out from behind the bar. Maybe before the end of March, maybe next week. Who knows? But God bless. Love you, and until next week.
Yes.
Peace. Too much.